It is night, and the sea is calm. The moon, his eye bright and shining and full, gazes down upon his kingdom and admires it with quiet pride. And as he looks, he spies a large fishing vessel at anchor for the night. Its deck is still slick with the memory of fish and nets, of gutting and packing, of blood and gore. And the moon sees this, and sees also the wake full of death and destruction. And his face clouds over with concern and anger. And as his anger rises, so too does the sea. And his temper calls a tempest to come and wreck this thing that's desecrated his domain. The waves that had lapped so gently against the hull now rise to tower over the deck and come crashing down. The men who had been sleeping in their bunks only a moment before rushed to the deck to try and save their ailing craft. But the fruits of their day's labour were against them, as oil from gutted fish make deck and boots slick, and one by one the men start to slip over the side. The tossing and the rolling waves put pressure on the hull until the keel splinters and cracks and breaks until the ship and crew are lost to the sea. Each man does everything in his power to claw his way to the surface, to keep swimming, to stay alive. But one by one they succumb to cold or exhaustion until only one man remains, clinging to the shattered mast of his once beautiful ship. And he lies on the mast, gazing up at the cold, silver moon. And he lies there for some time, having very little else to do, until he hears a strange, haunting, sorrowful melody, wordless, ripple across the surface of the water. And he looks up and sees a figure skipping from the top of each wave coming towards him, and he calls out, "Hello, please help me. I'm stuck. Who are you? What are you? Can you please lend me your aid?" And before he knows it, sitting on the other end of the broken mast is the strangest creature he's ever seen. Her skin is deep blue like the sea and dappled with moonbeams. Her hair is long and wild and matted, in constant motion as if by some unseen current. And her eyes are bright and shining like the stars above them in the now clear sky. What are you? I am Lorelie. I am the last of my father's daughters. I follow the great sea storms and try and rescue the sailors whose ships are lost at sea. I can help you if you would like, but I will not do it for nothing. What about the other men, those on the Glaucus? Have you saved them too? I regret. I was too late to save them. I'm sorry. You are the only one left. And then he wept great big salty tears that dripped down his crusted cheeks and caught in his beard. What can I possibly offer you? My ship lays at the bottom of the ocean, and I am not a rich man. Do not worry, for you are rich enough. In all of the great vastness of the sea, I am alone. I do not ask for much, only the companionship of the next creature born to your household upon your return. Grant me this small thing, and I will save you. Caught between this choice of death and salvation, the sailor thought that it was obvious. He took the cold blue hand of Lorelie in his and agreed, thinking that the next creature born to his household would surely be maybe a pup from his full-bellied dog, or perhaps a chick from his hen's latest clutch. Lorelie took his calloused hand in hers, and using her power, called up a wave that lifted the mast and the sailor upon it, and carried it to the shore. And in the time that it takes for the sun to rise and cross the sky and sink again, the sailor was on his home shore, safe. And then he trudged up the golden beach, past broken boxes and spurs of metal, broken glass and shards of plank and wood and tatters, ships, flags. And he limped up the cobbled stones, up the path to his front door, and he let himself in. And there his wife was there, ready to greet him. "Oh, husband, I've been so worried. I saw the storm and you've been gone for so long. But I have good news. We have had a blessing since you've been away." And she gestures down to the bundle in her arms. And as the sailor gazes down at this swaddled creature, this golden-haired child, his face drops. "What's wrong?" And he tells her then of his deal with Lorelie and how their beautiful new baby daughter is lost to the sea already. And they both despair, thinking that they have lost their only child. Blaming his misfortune on the sea, the sailor vows to never again venture out in a boat or a ship, and to make no more livelihood from fishing. And so time passes. Days trickle into weeks, which flow into months, which pour into years, and their beautiful golden-haired child grows up to be a fine young woman, kind and gentle and smart, with long, flowing hair and eyes as green as jades, after which she is named. And every night her father would tuck her into bed and tell her of the deal that he had struck with Lorelie, and to warn her of the dangers of the sea. "I promised you to a spirit fair, with icy blue skin and the storm in her hair. And should she call for your company, she'll bear you away, and you'll never be free. The grace of her dancing will beckon you in. The wind bears the scent of the salt of her skin. Her voice, when she sings, is as clear as a gem. But if she bears you away, you'll not see day again. The sapphire of the sea, sapphire of the sea. To most men a legend, they pray not to meet. Sapphire of the sea, the sapphire of the sea. Pray to all gods that you're never in reach. Now, since the sailor didn't go out to fish anymore for their livelihood, the family took to combing the beach for scraps to reuse and resell and repurpose, to create something new from what had been discarded. And every day her family would go out and Jade would sit dutifully in the house, minding the animals, cleaning and sweeping and tidying, and finding uses for the things that had not been sold. But every day, as she watched her parents go down to the beach, she would feel a deep, aching loneliness. And one day she could not bear it, and so she left her house. She snuck out the front door, down the cobbled path, and along the golden beach. She found a small box and went unnoticed, picking among the scraps for buttons and baubles, for bottles and polished stones and shining shells and anything else that would take her fancy. She was so caught up in the joy of finding things, of the heat of the sun and the salt tang coming in from the sea, that she did not notice how far down the beach she had gone, and how low the sun was getting, and how tired and hungry she had become. It was not until the sun was barely a handspan away from the horizon when she realized that the lights of her hometown were barely visible. And she panicked then, thinking only of the ire of her father, abandoning her box of scraps and running off down the beach, until something caught her attention. A faint, beautiful, wordless melody floating along from far out to sea, so poignant and softly and beautifully sung that she could not help but listen, and her father's warnings were forgotten. And as she's gazing out to sea, she sees a figure skipping from wave to wave, and in barely a moment, in front of her is the strangest creature she's ever seen. Her skin was pale blue, like a warm summer's day, and lit and outlined the last light of the setting sun. Her hair was long and flowing and black as night, and her eyes sparkled like the polished stones that Jade had been collecting all day. And Jade recognized her then. "Have you come to take me away? Will I never see my mother and father again?" And Lorelie said, "What are you talking about? I have not come to steal you away. All I ask is for your companionship. I am lonely, for in all of the vastness of the ocean, there is no one to accompany me. I had expected, I will admit, some small animal, a creature to keep me companion, as has been given me so many times before. But animals and beasts have no wit, no language, and they make poor friends." And Jade looked at her then, for in her whole life she had been taught to fear this creature of the sea. But Lorelie looked so pitiful and plaintive, like a child. and all of Jade's fear melted away in that moment. Yes, I will be your friend. And Lorelie, overcome with joy, swept her up in a wave and, like her father before, carried her back home and deposited her gently on the beach. Alongside her was her box of scraps that she had worked the whole day to collect. That first encounter was the beginning of a deep and beautiful friendship. Every morning, Jade would sneak out of the front door, down the cobbled path and along the golden beach. And together, her and Lorelie would spend the entire day, sitting on the beach or swimming in the waves, chatting and enjoying themselves. And sometimes Lorelie would take Jade down into her home among the wrecks of the sea on the ocean floor and into her cave, protected by Lorelie's magic. And in return, Jade would bring Lorelie presents that she had made from the scraps that they found. A beautiful, intricately carved comb to tease out the tangles on Lorelie's storm-tossed hair. She took scraps and odd bits of fabric and flags and sackcloth and stitched and wove and knitted them together to make a beautiful flowing cloak to warm Lorelie's icy blue skin. She taught Lorelie to play the guitar that they'd found in one of the sunken wrecks on one of their days exploring, and would sit for hours accompanying her mournful, wordless melody. And for a time, they were happy. Since I met with this siren bright, we spend time together from dawn until night. There is great beauty in where she dwells. She isn't as cruel as those stories you tell. Her laughter is soft like the foam on a wave. Her salty tears fall for those she fails to save. She sings to the sailors who sleep in their graves. Her melody calms the tempestuous waves. Sapphire of the sea, the sapphire of the sea. A beautiful spirit and a treasure to me. The sapphire of the sea, the sapphire of the sea. In exchange for your life, my friendship's her fee. But all good things must come to an end. And one day, Jade stayed too long upon the beach. She had long since explained to her family about her meetings with Lorelie. And though her parents were cautious about the relationship, they accepted this compromise. No, it was not her parents' wrath that ended their bliss, but the fury and jealousy of the cold silver moon. Lorelie, for years you have worked against me, and now I find you consorting with humans. And as his anger grew, so did the sea in answer. And as Jade was walking home, a great wave rose and fell and dragged her below. And Lorelie saw this and chased after her down through the depths until the moon's light and the sun's light no longer reached through the waves, down to where strange creatures attack with luminescence and eat fish tricked by their beautiful hypnotic lights. And then she could go no further, for Lorelie was not a creature of the deep and had no power in the depths. And Lorelie despaired, for although Jade would not drown, having been protected by Lorelie's magic, she was lost to her, taken away by the jealousy of the moon. And for a month Lorelie sat upon the beach and wept salty tears, and for a month she sat among her wrecks and wept bitterly, and for a month she danced upon the waves, and great drops of brine fell from her eyes. She tried cajoling the moon, flattering him, saying, "Please let her go. She is not like her father. She is not like the men who disregard the sea. She's kind and compassionate. You are so powerful. Don't you know the greatest power of all is mercy? I will not let her go to wreak havoc upon my kingdom." And then she insulted and debased him. "How petty are you, that you would bother with creatures so insignificant? Why, you would count every grain of sand upon the shore and every drop of water in the ocean and still feel yourself inept. I will not let her go. You steal from me." She cajoled and coaxed, insulted and shouted, but all of her words and all of her power came to nothing. Why do you even bother with these humans? They are worthless. They are thieves. They are not worthless, and I can prove it to you. And Lorelie had an idea then. She dived back down to her cave, to her ocean home, and brought up the beautiful, intricate, carved comb that Jane had made for her. And as she rose back to the surface, she said, Look at what humans can do. The creature that you stole away made this. You, in all your power, could do no such thing. All you can make are witch stones, and they take you long enough." And the moon looked down at this tiny comb, and he could see that it was beautiful. But he said, "This is worthless, a trifling thing. I will not free her." But Lorelie could see that he had become interested, his eye gleaming with curiosity. And so she dived back down again to her ocean home and brought up the beautiful long cloak of rags that Jade had stitched for her, and she said, Look at what humans can make from nothing, from scraps. You cannot, in all of your power, fix a pattern to the sea or keep heat in a body, and you say they are worthless. It is of no use to me. I will not free her." But Lorelie could see that his ire and his eye were waning, and she had one more idea. So she dived back down one last time to her sea cave and brought up the guitar. and she played and sang out all of her pain and loneliness. She sang of the cold of the deeps and the sailors that slept there. She sang of seagulls and splashing oars, of calm nights and of great storms. And when she had finished, she looked up, defiant, at the cold silver moon, and waited. And the moon was silent for a long, painful moment. I will let her go to you. She may have no worth to me, but it is clear that she means a great deal to you. Go. Be happy. And to Lorelie, for just one moment, it seemed that the moon was not so cold nor so distant. And his face had the smallest, almost imperceptible tilt of a smile. And so she and Jade shared their lives together on that beach. And perhaps their descendants dwell together there still, on that golden stretch of beach, among the broken boxes and bottles and spars of metal and shattered planks, and are happy. And some say that on a certain night, when the moon is full and bright and silver, and the night is calm and dark, and the sea is still, if you listen closely, you can hear a soft, sorrowful, wordless melody